Parents supporting their children and being there for them during tough times is a good thing, right? I mean, of course it is. What kind of asshole disputes that idea, that families should stick together no matter what? Me. I'm that kind of asshole. Recently, you might have heard about Brock Turner. If you haven't, this is a long fucking story, but the Cliff Notes version is that he lured a very drunk girl away from a frat party and fingered her behind a dumpster, the most arousing place on earth, of course, after she passed out. Before he could go any further, a couple guys from Stanford, the university Brock went to, happened by, who testified that they saw the girl unconscious and asked him what the fuck he was doing to her. And his response was to run away. Brock, a 3-time All-American swimmer and member of Stanford's university team, apparently was not in good enough shape while drunk to run away from a couple guys, who pinned him down while they called the cops. She woke up in the hospital about 3 hours later. Tests showed that she had been penetrated. The girl's DNA was found on his fingers, and he was charged with rape. That got knocked down to sexual assault with intent to rape. He was convicted and was sentenced to a whopping 6 months or a semester and a half in jail, not prison, and is expected to only do 3 months. Another judge, who had written to the court recommending against prison, said he made a mistake in drinking excessively to the point where he could not fully appreciate that his female acquaintance was so intoxicated. I've discussed this before, but alcohol doesn't turn you into a rapist. It doesn't make you do anything you didn't already want to do. Consider this the darkest after-school special ever, but the molester was inside of him all along. Alcohol just knocked down the inhibitions that made him think of all the reasons why he shouldn't do it. And all he was left with is, yeah, I should try and bang this unconscious woman behind a big garbage container. Not an excuse. And certainly a fucked up one from a judge. Of course, the internet is calling for Brock's head, as well as the prosecuting judge's head, as the maximum sentence that could have been given for this type of crime was 14 years in a federal prison, where I imagine he'd be sold for a pack of cigarettes to a guy named Big Roy. This, of course, was exactly what the family is afraid of. First, Papa Turner had some shit to say. In a statement he made about his son's punishment and how his life has been deeply altered forever, he said, "That's a steep price to pay for 20 minutes of action." I know I probably say this a lot, but that might be one of the most insane statements I've ever heard in my life. Is that how we should determine things now? I mean, it only takes a second to shoot a person, so why should someone have to spend life in prison for something that only took a second? Right, Mr. Turner? And Brock Turner's mommy wrote an open letter to the judge in this case, which I will now openly mock. Dear Honorable Judge Persky, thank you for the opportunity to write a letter and introduce you to my son Brock Turner, the real Brock Allen Turner. The fake one must have been the one going 3 knuckles deep behind a waste disposal bin. The next 2.5 pages talk about how he was in a fucking school play, and he started swimming when he was 4, and how they drove him to swim practice, and how he got a local baseball team to help him with a promposal for his then girlfriend, and how they weren't rich. None of this fucking matters. I guess it's supposed to be designed to humanize this piece of trash that belongs in the dumpster himself. Our lives now exist in 2 phases. Prior to the weekend of January 17th and 18th, 2015, and after that weekend. The weekend started out pretty exciting for Dan and I, Dan's his father. We sold the home we raised the kids in after Brock graduated. We moved into our new home on January 17th, 2015. Who fucking cares what you were doing while your kid was trying to wear an unconscious girl as a ring? Then we got that fateful call from Brock on Sunday the 18th, and our world has been spinning apart ever since. This house now reminds me of the horror of that moment. Fuck you. 24 hours after moving in, you find out your son's a fucking sexual predator. And your first thought is, now my home makes me sad. Not, my son being a piece of shit makes me sad. My first thought upon wakening every morning is, this isn't real. This can't be real. Why him? Why him? Why? 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 Dumpster, unconscious woman, put it together. And why him? Oh my Lord Buddha, this is fucking amazing. He is the victim, you see. In her eyes, he's the victim. Poor kid, why couldn't they just leave him be? But in the months leading up to the trial, we had hope. He was telling the truth. We knew once he had the opportunity to tell what happened, this would all go away. I bet you did think that. And you know what the funny part about all this is? Actual witnesses also get to tell the truth. The actual truth. Not your son's version of, she said it was okay to touch her insides, mommy. I didn't know she was passed out. Then, that awful, horrible, terrible, gut-wrenching, life-changing verdict was read. I know what a broken heart feels like. Wonder if it feels anything like being fingered behind a dumpster. Let's find out. It is a physical pain that starts just below the collarbone and extends to below the rib cage. It is a crushing and heavy ache that feels like I am being squeezed. No, I guess it doesn't. This verdict has destroyed us. Brock is a shattered and broken shell of the person he used to be. My once vibrant and happy boy is distraught, deeply depressed, terribly wounded, and filled with despair. Oh, my son's sad because he got caught doing some dumpster diddling and has to actually be held accountable for something he's done for once in his life. Your Honor, I beg of you to show Brock mercy. He's never been in trouble, never even had a demerit in high school. He studied, swam, worked hard. He has lived an exemplary life. Well, that's only because he never got caught before. During the trial, videos were discovered on his phone of him drinking while underage and smoking from a bong. And he had texts where he said he did acid, and he was stopped on campus in 2014 for having beer while underage and having a fake ID. All illegal things. They're not priming a girl for being fucked behind a trash receptacle crimes, but hardly an exemplary life. I beg of you, please don't send him to jail or prison. Look at him. He won't survive it. Oh, you bet he won't. He looks like a creepy version of Michael Cera. Those soft features, swimmer's build. Whoo boy, he'd be a treat for the fellas in Gen Pop. Of course, I'm sure there'll be comments here saying, oh, you're against rape, but you're for making fun of the possibility of him being raped? Yeah, I am. Hell, I'm for the death penalty for sexual predators, or at least physical castration. And if you don't want to be mistreated in prison, there's an amazing, foolproof way to avoid that. Don't commit crimes. Your Honor, please be kind and merciful to my beautiful son. He is suffering and will continue to pay for this for his entire life. Well, you got your wish. Brock got 6 months, 3 with good behavior. But you're right, he will be paying for this for the rest of his life. And this is the part that everyone who's calling for blood should understand. Kid's fucked. You got your justice. Who's gonna want to hire him? Who's gonna work with him? He's on a sex offenders registry for life. Really, it's better that he's out. He's gonna have to move back in with Mumsy and Dadsy, and they'll pay for him instead of your tax dollars that go to feeding and housing prisoners. He's not gonna be allowed anywhere near another college, so those fingers will stay clean. Unless, of course, the family cat passes out in front of him near the kitchen garbage bin and he feels a little nostalgic. But the craziest part about this is, at no point, while expressing sympathy for their fucking son, have they expressed any sympathy for the victim. And though they seem to acknowledge that Brock made a mistake, I honestly don't believe that they think he made a mistake. Brock Turner still keeps saying she consented to it, despite the fact that they found her passed out. How'd she give the green light? Hey, if you want me to take your pants off behind all this garbage, say and do absolutely nothing. Alright, good to go. I mean, no wonder this kid's a piece of shit. His parents are the dumbest human beings on the fucking planet, between his dad's 20 minutes of action comment and his mom blathering on about not being able to decorate a house, not giving a shit about what this girl now has to go through for the rest of her life. The fact that they fucked and created a child, then kept it, and raised it, with the pair of them having this belief system, I'm actually more surprised that this didn't happen sooner. But sometimes you just gotta say fuck it, and distance yourself from your shit family. Family's great and all, but at the end of the day, they're just other humans that you've known for a long time. I would hope that if I ever fucking lost it and did something awful, my parents would disown the shit out of me. If I had a kid and this shit happened, I know I'd throw him to the fucking wolves. That's not how I raised him. Throw the fucking book at him, Judge. Fuck that kid. They can face the consequences for their actions. But you know what they say in the Turner household? Blood is thicker than the vaginal juices of an unconscious girl.